I do declare, let's get this party started.
Whoa!
We're not going to play that. That'll be fun. Welcome to LDC 2014 at Tree Frog. Thank you all for coming. Many of you from many, many kilometers away to share in what is Tree Frog's living room, all squished together. See, we couldn't fit another person in this room, which is fantastic. This is, in a way, sort of a Lasso master classes. It's a group of people. We all have known each other for many, many years. And we are the future of Lasso, which is really fun. And we've got all sorts of exciting things happening over the next 3 days. Please try and stay sober, relatively sober, for at least the next 24 hours as we do. Okay, some of you, just some of us want to remember some things that happened. We've got all sorts of interesting and fun stuff to share with you. For those of you who don't know, if you're tweeting, tweet out to LDC 2014. There's obviously Lasso Chat, Lasso Talk. And we are live streaming right now, so please limit cursing and other things like that, otherwise the world will see you. Again, for those of you who haven't been around Tree Frog and want a tour, there's lots of people. Just ask a frog for a quick tour. There's some secret rooms you have to see before you leave, which is really fun. I've only been in this space for approximately 6 months. In fact, almost exactly 6 months, I think. So we're really getting used to it as well, so we hope you enjoy it. It's pretty fun. We have some really awesome speakers. It's going to be a really great time. I'm really excited to see everybody. Just a rough idea of what the calendar looks like. This morning we had a workshop with Bill. He taught us how to hack our own website. We're going to be talking about Lasso this afternoon, about what's happened this year and what's going to be happening over the next year. We're going to show you some great new stuff that's happening on that. We're going to talk tomorrow morning about integrating other technologies into Lasso. And after that, we're going to talk about visualization of Lasso. This is tomorrow afternoon. We're going to go through some key developer tools, talk about LinkedIn and other things, about how can we improve our own careers and our business. The next morning is some advanced stuff on Friday, getting the most from Lasso 9, and then at the end of the conference, which will be on Friday afternoon, we're going to have an open forum discussion about the future of Lasso, where we're going next. So, if anybody has any questions of what that looks like, talk to us later. For those of you who don't know Newmarket, this is where we live and breathe and work. It is really called a town, but in fact it's a city. If you walk a block that way to the second set of lights, somehow get through all the construction problems on the way there. They told us they'd be finished by this date. You turn left and go a few blocks, and this is actually the top of what was the original Main Street. So that's the old part of Newmarket, old Newmarket. And so it's literally a few blocks from here. You can see the map there. It's about a 10-minute walk to where we're going to be meeting later tonight, called the Hungry Brew Hops. It looks like that at 7:30. So those of you who need a ride home before that or back to the hotel, whatever it is, talk to Rachel afterwards. So make sure you get there, but you can walk there in 11 minutes. They have something like 30 beers on tap for those of you who like beer, and it's a great place, great food, etc. Tomorrow night, we're going to be meeting in a restaurant very close to that. We're trying to keep it all very close and contained. Made in Mexico. So those of you who like Mexican food, that's the other U.S. neighbor. They're on the south, we're on the north. You don't want to eat Canadian food, though. That involves raw fish and things like that. And of course, the last night, which is the awards evening, will be at Cachet. It's actually at the bottom of that street. All of these restaurants are very close, trying to keep it very close so we can walk from this area, from Tree Frog down there. Last but not least, the awards dinner. We're going to have a lot of fun that evening. Please make sure you are there. Dress to the nines. If you flew here, don't worry about it. Okay, today we're talking about Lasso. This is about the love of Lasso. We've talked about this many years and as years go by. LassoSoft is about certain things. So why is it that Lasso is here? I want to remind everybody that why everybody's in this room, but why Sean is standing up here and why the LassoSofters are here is because we have a mission. And that is that we believe in the Lasso language, and our job is to support, promote, and evangelize the Lasso programming language to have it significantly grow and develop. So all the things that we're doing is theoretically trying to help that cause. The key things behind this is we've chosen some values. We've been pursuing these for years. They were there before, but I'm just going to go through them. I want to make sure we're all on the same page, so as our discussions over the next 3 days happen, we keep on coming back to this. Security. We remember the old idea of security through obscurity. The fact is, we are kind of obscure in a way, and that does lend itself to security in a way. As it was pointed out this morning, there are still things that we have to fix, which is great. Some of it is just the fact that we are diligent, the fact that we are thinking and acting and looking for holes and changes in web technologies. And that alone means we're secure, more secure. And that idea that because it's the core value or one of the core values, whenever we're called on or when we see something, we actually go spend as much time as we can to go cover those holes. And to date, to the best of my knowledge, there hasn't been any major issue with a Lasso-based hack or something to that effect, which is really neat. Knock on wood, thank you for that. Speed. We're also talking about speed. Speed has other meanings. So we've got the speed of the server itself. We relentlessly pursue speed. The idea is if we can get speed, then our websites and our other things will have better user experience, more business through search engine optimization or better ranking, less hardware costs, so less cost, more complex things we can do with it. And then of course that's the speed of the server itself. It's also the speed of our ability to prototype faster. So the more things we can do to provide frameworks and things and benefits and make it easier for people to develop with, the faster we can program, the more stuff we can do. Simplicity, elegant syntax. The idea that we're trying to make it, as simple as possible. You guys get the general idea. Stability, the idea of relentless pursuit of stability. It's obviously very important that we as a group are constantly thinking about what is it that could cause Lasso to derail, find those things, fix them, stop it from derailing. And of course, us. This is the best part. People in this room, there are many people in this room who have been with Lasso since mid-90s. Got new people as well, as of today. So that's literally people from various sides of the world, and we as a community work together and work as friends and as compatriots and work together to do cool Lasso stuff. So that's neat. I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. I believe in Lasso. I think it's better than all other languages that are out there. I've been able to do stuff, and I'm not really a great developer, and I admit to that, but I do and am able to use it to do amazing things. And as you watch and look around the people around here, you'll note that they are also people, probably sitting beside you, that have also bet their lives on it in one way or another. TreeFrog has bet its existence on this language. Everything we do, basically, is in Lasso. So we really care. So we care that it's excellent. We care that, in fact, we use the word at TreeFrog, epic. We care that Lasso is epic, and we think that it is. So that's yesterday. Now I want to talk about what's happening next. Let's talk about yesterday first. We said, this is the same slide from many years ago. If you saw my presentation many years ago, same series, is you're going to have 3 major phases over the course of 3-ish years. The first phase was triage and stabilization. And the idea was to just get all of the pieces, put them all back together and make excellent or epic things. So we got website, we got reference, we got all those major pieces put together. We also, of course, brought out a new version of 8, brought out a new version of 9, brought out another version of 9, came out with new licensing models, etc. We came up with all sorts of different types of developer accounts, patrons and partners and other things like that. The idea that although we are not open source, that we would not let the Lasso language disappear, then in fact we have a mechanism that means if something were to happen to us, Lasso would stick around. And that's often a key issue that people have an issue with, where they think because you're a proprietary language, what happens if we build something and you guys disappear? We won't. We built in a mechanism so if we were to get hit by a bus, the language would continue. As well, all of the different services that we offer, and we have offered training and coaching, etc. Some of you were around yesterday, and we continue to do that with people all over the world, which is fun. So we like to think that we did a great job on that phase 1. So the question was, what about phase 2? Phase 2 of that was to build foundations. How else could we increase the language so people could use it? So we took a version of Eclipse, turned it into Lasso Lab, put all sorts of things into that, brought in platform support for other GUIs and other things like this. Thank you. I'd forgotten Sublime. It was the line. Yes. Hello button. Syntax coloring for all sorts of different websites and other things like that, which was good. Getting into online systems where we got hundreds of people coding in Lasso in little tiny snippets and getting it out there and seeding the world. We also have work a lot with Georgian, which is a local college, and I've worked with other colleges as well, and I've done work for their websites. In fact, for U of T, we built a website for one of our campuses using Lasso, which is kind of fun. But I've worked with them as much as we possibly can to get Lasso seeded into students and professors, etc. One of course, the people that we're working really closely is Georgia. And of course, we've documented. So we spent a lot of the year last year documenting everything we could. If you remember, we came up with a Lasso guide. We're still continuing to improve this on a regular basis, thanks to a lot of work from Eric and others. We also obviously brought up the physical copy. Remember the physical copy? There's a few floating around here. If anybody wants one on the way out, let's talk. Let's do some wicked you can refuse. Oh, that was terrible version. Anyway, we also came up with HTML archive and less versions, and we said we were going to come up with a tablet version. Remember that? We also, because it's built in restructured text, that guide, all that information can be used and brought into other things. There's a JSON API for it, so you can siphon it off and do other neat things with the documentation for the language. Really tried to kill that. And of course, all of the reference stuff, and we're still pushing this and actively putting effort into reference because Lasso is a much larger language tag for tag than other languages like PHP or Perl. So we've got a lot of other things out there that we built. You guys, almost everybody in this room knows about all of these pieces that we have put together over the last many years. I'm not going to talk about each one, but there's tons of products out there to enhance and promote the Lasso language. And of course, Lasso Track, which is a big thing that we did, is take all of the bugs and issues over and put it up for everybody to see, show what was going on, which is a fairly new thing. And of course, this has worked very well because we have cranked through bugs, issues, changes this year like you would not believe. The amount of effort that we put into this is astonishing. So those were all the things that we've done over the last bit. I wanted to throw a couple of more on this foundation pile because foundations are so important. The first thing, which happened earlier this year, was we increased the CODA support. Where's Eric? Which CODA? What support?
The next version of CODA.
Right. So we're keeping up with all of the latest stuff that are coming out as well, which is nifty. We also, as of today, have a new unit testing framework, which is being released as an open source product, which allows you, we're calling Tensile, which will allow you to go and do unit testing on Lasso 9, correct? So this is a really cool thing. It's going to be up. We'll send up the link sometime in the next few days if you haven't seen it already. And of course, this is a big one. I only have one slide here, but I want to talk about it for a bit. There is a new website. I don't think the URL's there yet because it's a surprise, and the next little bit it will be, which is lassocode.com. This is effectively, in a way, a conceptual replacement for TagSwap. The difference is that we realized is that there's different types of things that we want to put all in one place. So for example, we have extensions, APIs, and connectors. So APIs are full APIs, and we want to be able to share them as a module. So we want, say, a Salesforce API or a Zendesk API, and you want to build that full API. We want to make sure that anyone can go just like TagSwap and put in a full, not just one tag, one page, but a full Lasso app, whole application that works, API, everything in one package. As well, if we extend Lasso through connectors, etc., we want a place to put all of this. We also wanted a place for everyone here to be able to put information, be able to share code with one another, because I believe everybody in this room believes if we share more code with one another, we all, as developers, go farther. So taking our code and moving a lot of our stuff from TagSwap, so A, we're going to be going through a big push here to move everything from TagSwap over to this. So if you don't know that it's yours, or you need to go claim it on this, we've talked about it in the past, but we're talking about it again. As well, this is actually fundamental to what we're going to be doing next with Lasso. We're going to talk about that on Friday. Because we want as much code and as much of the pieces on this as humanly possible. The other really nifty part about this is this automatically connects to your GitHub accounts, and you can siphon off GitHub projects right into Lasso code. So instead of trying to rebuild the wheel from scratch, if you've got or can post large projects on GitHub, that those can be automatically followed from Lasso code. So that is a huge community piece. We're still, over the next week or so, we're going to be playing with that, or maybe a few weeks, January, we'll release it. But this is a huge piece for TreeFrog moving forward, for TreeFrog and Lassosoft moving forward. Okay, that was building strong foundations. Now we want to talk about innovation. This is important.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. And if I do not for a moment believe this island or a large part of it were subjugated and starving, then our empire beyond the seas, armed and guarded by the British fleet, carry on the struggle until in God's good time, the new world with all its power and might steps forth to the rescue and the liberation of the old.
Woohoo! That's why I formally declare that Lasso 9.3 is at least out before January. As you remember, we talked about Lasso 9.3 last year as a developer preview, and this year it's here, which is neat. We have three major things we're going to be talking about today. We talked about a little bit last year. One of them is Spitfire, one of them is Lux, and one of them is Trident. So let's talk about what each one of these is. Spitfire, for those of you on the beta list or know what this is, it's obviously an HTTP server. It replaces or can be parallel with Apache or IIS. It makes it easier for developers to get up and running fast. So if you're installing it, you don't have to go configure a whole bunch of things. It's right there. It means it's easier to work with. It means Lasso will be easier to install and get running for people who are not used to it, which is super neat and cool. Just like the plane itself, the idea is now we control it. So it's part of Lasso, which is neat. We're going to talk through it later. And it's really for quick deployment. I mean, we can get it up fast, get it running fast, build stuff fast. As well, we have Lux. Really excited about this. You probably have a t-shirt, you're wondering what this logo is. This is the Lux logo, the Lasso user interface logo. And it is deluxe. It has everything from the past integrated GUIs that we've seen, brought forward, plus a whole bunch more things. As we talk through it, one of the things that I'm most excited about this is it's been really, really, really difficult to get into Lasso for the last few years. To get into Lasso 9 and the GUI that was there, which has been there now for 4 or 5 years for Lasso 9, was really difficult to work with. People didn't know how to move around with it. And I believe we've solved that. So I'm really, really proud of that with Lux. I can't wait because in about half an hour or an hour, John is going to come up and do a walkthrough about it. And of course, it's finger friendly, so you can access it and use it on an iPad, which is fantastic. And there's all sorts of other really cool stuff with it. I won't steal any more of John's fire on that. As well, we have Trident, and we're actually going to have Kyle get up and talk more about this. But this is a really new thing unique to Lasso, which takes the just-in-time compilation that we have and separates that out to sort of classic compilation methodology. So this is fantastic because this is new in 9.3, 9.2 doesn't have it, and it's going to be easier and faster for developers to use Lasso and see the speed, which is fantastic. And of course, 2 new things, absolutely new in the last little bit, is a MongoDB connector. There's a huge popular increase in this, which many of you have probably experimented with or seen this before. And for those of you who know what mustache is, Kyle's going to get up and talk about this, but everybody should have a mustache, right? November. We'll come back to that. It's about November. That's important. But here's the biggest point of all, is that it's taken us years, but I would say, based on all of the requests, you go through all of the requests that we were asked in 2010 on what are the things that we should do in order to make Lasso excellent, we have done everything. So as of today, woohoo, everything. Fletcher's laughing, as he should. There's always stuff to do, right? Every day is a new thing. But if you go back to the list, I should have had this in here. The list from 3 years ago, and the initial, these are the things we're going to do. We did it all. We said we were going to do, and we did it all. And then Lasso user interface is the last major piece, and of course, that's the new innovations that we've added. So that's beyond exciting. I've almost broken my arm patting myself on the back a few times. We're really excited about it. So, we've done the treehouse of stabilization, we've done the foundations, and we believe we're on track with innovation, doing things that other people aren't. This is a problem. The problem is that if your plan isn't big enough, you one day might live to finish it. So if we had a plan, and we said it was going to take us 3 years to do that plan, and we're done, what next? Yeah, that's a problem, isn't it? Just add more stuff to the pile? Fix some more bugs? No, that's not good enough. So, I did want to talk about what the next plan is and what we believe we should be doing next. Now, I want to talk about the future, of course, at the end, but I didn't want to leave this presentation without talking a little bit about something. That's unintentional. Time machines could not complete the backup. Eric.
Have you moved to your new laptop?
Yes. So, what's next? So, I think here's the basic thing, is that the next phase, chapter 2, for us, number 1 is we need, I believe, some platforms, because we'll talk about this in a second, but we need some things that people can connect to and grab onto. There was a blog post recently that said, there's no killer app for Lasso. So in the absence of a killer app, there's really nothing to go do with Lasso except support some old stuff and do some other things, and we need to fix that. Number 2 is For those people who know PHP or know Python or know other languages that we sort of, in quotations, compete against, we're very different. You have to pay for us. We have a license. We're closed source. So we're sort of off and doing our own thing. And so the question is, how are we ever going to convince or explain why it is that and who it is that we are if we are so different? So we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk about that lots on Friday. And then, of course, I also believe that although we have a fantastic core here, that for us to really get going, we're going to need partnerships with other organizations. But we couldn't do that. We tried in the first year to make that happen, and what we found was we didn't have all the pieces in play. Now we have all the pieces in play. So, I'm really excited about that because there's lots of growth opportunity for us. Even though we said we had a plan, this is what's next. I do want to talk about one last little thing, and that's about the platforms. And the idea that here's a key issue. The key issue is, and this is what I think I've discovered over the last few years, and that is that Lasso is traditionally used by developers. Developers aren't necessarily clients. We're at TreeFrog, we have clients. In many cases, they don't care what language you build it in. They just want the thing to work. So you say, great, we're going to come in and we're going to build your stuff in Lasso, and they say, I don't care. Is it a rotary engine? Is it a piston engine, an electric engine? I don't care. I just want the thing to work. And then, of course, when they start digging in, then they start asking questions about Lasso, et cetera, et cetera. We've also bumped into the point or issue where education, and this is just the truth, sat down in a boardroom. We were talking about, what languages they should be teaching in the curriculum over the next year, with all sorts of different companies. And at the end of the day, education facilities in Canada, but all over the world, their responsibility is to get people jobs when they come out at the end of school. And so if Lasso doesn't have a reason and things and jobs and doesn't create jobs, then why would an education institution teach it other than for fun? So although we have some places teaching it for fun, we have to change that. So the question, if you sort of think about that for a sec, we've been, the suggestions were originally, we'll go after education institutions, get it seated there. And the education institutions come back and say, well, we can't. We can't seat it there because that's not going to lead to jobs. So you go, great, we're going to go direct to developers. And developers go, well, show me where the money is and show me how I'm going to go with this. And you go to clients and they say, I don't care if it's Lasso or not. That's a problem. So based on that, the question that I keep asking myself is, how do you grow? I do have some ideas. business has a bunch of common principles, things, data associated with it. We have clients, vendors, employees, candidates, products, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The thing is that everybody goes out to build every new system and go builds all of these pieces into every new system. And often in a different way, in a new way, whatever that is, but everybody has access to these. What's interesting is every business ends up going out and getting all sorts of other systems and then trying to either maintain separate data sources of all of these. So they have, for example, a database of clients at Salesforce, a database of clients at Zendesk, a database of clients in their custom system, and trying to figure out how to keep all of these in the air as they go. The question is how do you keep a central place for all of this information for communication so that when you put in a client into the system, your other apps have access to that client? We bump into this all the time as a business ourselves. We see the businesses that we work with bump into it all the time. And the idea is if we can create a central place where it may not even be the place which holds the information, but at least creates a platform for the information, then developers can build something knowing that they have access to a list of clients, a list of vendors, a list of products, et cetera, et cetera. So the idea behind Mergini is that all of these things connect with or are within Mergini itself, and you code on the other side of that knowing that you don't have to worry about logins, you don't have to worry about other things. What's interesting is this model or this idea that we have access to this stuff already exists with another company. The difference is that this is other kinds of applications. It's other kinds of data input, like motion, like touch, other things. But a business doesn't necessarily need this. It's the same idea that there's a framework that does half of the work and half of the programming for you, and you're just accessing that. So you think that same idea, the idea that behind Mergini is that it provides the platform for building applications. So you can get to market faster. That's idea number one. So there is the core, which is Mergini. Around that, we're going to offer a bunch of open source and closed source free applications. So for any business that wants, this allows them to install Mergini and now have access to all sorts of different apps. And then on top of that, we as developers can go install that for a client and then build custom apps on top of that, just like they would any other operating system. This makes it an OS versus just a system. And of course, eventually, once we understand how that works, we will build in paid apps, and that's how we will, as Lassosoft, generate more revenue. At the moment, we're actually giving away Mergini, the core, and the apps for free as a platform for anyone to use. So that's really, really nifty and cool. So the idea, just quickly to give you a sense of this, and then I'm going to get Clive to come up and just show you quickly around what an interface would look like for a client. This is what ours at TreeFrog looks like. So we have a whole bunch of apps, and those are broken into different pieces. So let me give an example of some of those apps. So it's interesting, some of these apps are local. They're literally built on Mergini itself. Some of these are locally connected, so like single sign-on from Mergini, and others are just link-throughs from this. But we have this problem at TreeFrog, and many other businesses have this, where there's all of these software as a services going on, web applications. You go and you sign up for them, you pay your $10 or $25 or $100 a month, and then you forget that you have them. Or other people in the business don't have access to it even though you're paying for it. So this provides a central place, so anyone who logs in, and it's obviously permission-based, you get to see the apps that you have as a result of being in a group. That gives you access to those apps and gives you special information in each app. So let me give you an example of this. We have some HR tools. So for example, we as business, we send out a thing to everybody once a month saying, are you happy or not working at TreeFrog? And we graph that. You see, fortunately that's going up and it's very high, which is all very good. But now everybody has access to that because we already know who those people are from Mergini. So we just build an app that sends an email to everybody that's already there in the Mergini API, and we can collect that information. It becomes an app. We have holiday booking. So who's got when, whose holiday when, and who approves other people's holidays. So it's a really simple issue, And almost every business with more than a few people suffers from, when are you going on holiday again? And when is I supposed to go on holiday? And am I allowed to be on holiday at the same time, et cetera? So just basic stuff. We have another one, which is an interview process. We do all of our interviews online. We've had 2,700 people apply to work here in the last year. And we obviously couldn't handle the paperwork on that. So we asked them to go to this tool, fill out some stuff, and do a video, online video of themselves. And then we go through and, as a team, say, these are the right people for the team or not. Makes sense, right? So these are just apps, prototypes that we've built. On top of that, you have things like business metrics. This is actually one of the ones that's driving our business right now. We're tracking and monitoring Google ranking for keywords for our clients. So for example, Tree Frog, we know that we want to go after Aurora web design, right? So we put it in this and we start going after it with SEO, and over the course of time we start seeing it going up from, we track from 1 to 50, you see how high it goes, and the higher it goes, the more business we're going to get from it. Imagine installing that for a client. And install that, we're calling these monkey hooks. Let me explain what a monkey hook is. If you have a giant boat, you can't move it around very easily. So what you do is you get a tugboat to push you relatively close to the shore, and you throw a little tiny rope over the edge. And the guy catches it on the other side, and he pulls out the big rope. But on the end of that little tiny hook is what is called a monkey hook. So the idea is that clients will be interested in this because they want access to the really compelling applications that we have. Once they're in, we can, as developers, build them applications easier and faster because all the pieces are already there that we need. Makes a lot of sense. Another example would be we list and have found every single competitor that we have in the web design world, so we can go see who are we competing against in the area, track them all by a map, monitor them all, whatever somebody new finds when we put them in. We've got efficiency tools. You have a machine, thanks to Lasso, that you literally take different pieces of paper and you create proposals. We create proposals in about 5 minutes for tens of thousands of dollars projects. Because instead of having to sit down and write out a detailed proposal, we have a machine that literally we just go in and say these 5 things, and you put it in and you go. We know who did it, who used it, we know who it's sent to, we have access to all that information. Ties directly into Salesforce. It's fantastic. Another app which is very simple, and I think we have a speaker, because we have a developer who built us a new version of this in the last week on Mergini, which would be Yali. But our simplistic version at the beginning was a boardroom calendar. So we have the issue where we have boardroom, we have lots of people who are trying to use the boardroom at all times, we need people to book it. Now you could do this through Exchange, but then you have to set up Exchange and manage Exchange and all those things, or you can have a simple calendar that you just go to and say, I need the boardroom at this time. So we're going to see that later this week. Disaster recovery. So we've had a number of clients who have the issue of what happens if your building falls down. What about all the information about all the people that work at your organization? What about all the assets? What about all the serial numbers, everything? It all gets lost. So instead, we move this all up to the cloud. So the idea is, for example, we have serial number and asset list management. So if I log in and I'm Sean, I only see the assets that are assigned to me. I only see the software serials that are assigned to me. Whereas the central admin has access to everything. So if I leave or I join the company, I know what I have for my list and I can give it and manage it. And I don't, if somebody leaves, I don't lose all of the pieces. As well, just the simple fact of having a cloud-based or online-based list of people with custom information about their next of kin, et cetera, can be very simple, but it's required in today's compliant world. So this actually, it provides an external access. See, every single one of these apps, just simplistically on its own, is really stupidly simple thing that we can sell to clients as developers and then jump on top and sell them other things as well. So we are officially going to release a beta of this to the world. It is new to us. We're using it personally. We have about 50 clients using it already. Our goal is to have 100 clients using it by the end of the year. What that means is you as Lasso developers also have access to 100 clients instantly. You build an app, you can put a price tag on it. Again, we're still working through this to see what this looks like, so be patient with us as we figure it out. But if you built an app that did managed bus schedules, I don't know, it's essentially the iPhone model, then we can go sell it to those 100 clients, And if you have clients who are interested, then they have access to it as well. So we leverage one another to provide efficiency, HR benefits, all sorts of other things as we go. Any questions? Isn't that cool? What I'd like to do right now is drag up Clive, who, yay Clive! Because so far it's all theoretical. I actually want Clive in 2 minutes or less, because we don't have a lot of time, to actually walk through and show you. Sorry?
I can do 2 minutes.
2 minutes? Nice.
50 seconds or less.
What this looks like. Over to you, my friend. What?
Like the screen window, please.
Is that a little better now? So, basically, this is a login screen. This would come to this. It's going to be your dashboard. As we open up your new browser window. That's what I use it for, anyways. I use it as a dashboard on my new browser every time I open a new browser window. And what it does is it has shortcuts to a lot of the currently used applications that I need on a day-to-day basis, so that I don't have to go hunting for bookmarks and shit. It can just give me quick shortcuts to a variety of different things. We can sort applications alphabetically. We have sort of a list view as well. Ones with the links sort of indicate that it's an external website that will open up, which I can sort of log into that one as well. I won't though. So we'll go back into our grid view. I'll grab my SEO tools because that's actually what I'm going to here. And so settings, basically when you install this, this is sort of the screen that you're going to come into. You're going to set up sort of your local data source and the organization you are doing the install for, system name, hosting, and a variety of different things. And then sort of there's the application list. So these are all of the applications that I have available or that are within the system because I'm an admin. So I can see all of the different applications that we've got created. And again, some are internal, some are native to Mergini, and some are just effectively external links out to outside services. You've got a place to set up your security listing, blacklisting, particular IPs that may or may not be trying to hack in. You can build a list of your clients and suppliers and tie that into your applications as well, so that everybody's sort of modified and unique. Your profile pages is pretty simple, basic information about who you are, what you do. A little edit button over here. All of a sudden we sort of edit in place. Let's go with the short form for now. And then, see, I'm already assigned to all of the different roles, but I can be added to different groups, T-pod, technical pod. So let's just, for argument's sake, we'll add that there. And so this is sort of the list of the groups that I'm currently available to, or that I have access to. So any of the applications that have access, or that group has access to, I will now have access. If I want to delete that, I can sort of quickly and simply delete that, and sort of edit in place. If I want to sort of change my photo, I'll give it a bluebird now. Save the changes. So that's sort of how the profile thing works. The dashboard, we've already sort of seen that. Gives it a sort of a shortcut to all of your different icons, which is again all your asset lists, serial numbers. So we can sort of filter through here. Nothing assigned to each. You can set up different categories for the assets, locations. So all of the menu and the basic structure is effectively built for you. Staff profiles, again, sort of gives you an idea of quick overview of who's in the company. You can sort by who's been associated to what groups. Again, sort of list view as well. Again, the tag showing you what group that they're associated with. Sort of reverse the list order as well. Hit the new button, you can add a new user. And so effectively the action, yeah, I think that's probably about it.
Thank you.
I'm looking for a second.
Just quickly and interesting, so as an idea or an example of the app that I was saying before, so here we've got an integrated app. We'll go down to TreeFrog here and we'll look at live how our ranking is doing for every single one of the keywords that we are tracking as a business. We can go in and do detailed performance reports, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is one app built on top of the fact that other people can log in. We're accessing fairly standard data. It's a simple app. It's like an iPhone app, but it's leveraging Lasso and it's centrally installed in one place. So I'm really excited about that because I believe that that is, of all the things that we've done to date, that's the first time, this is the first time that we now have access to clients. So we're not just selling to developers or universities, we're now selling to clients directly as developers. And it actually attaches us as developers with the end client. So I'm really pleased about that. And that's, I think, the big news for us this year. Oh, there is one other thing. There is one other missing piece of the puzzle, in my opinion, because there are a few things that Lasso doesn't have, but one of the key things that it doesn't have So, for those of you who saw my presentation in Amsterdam in 2009, you remember this as something that we said we were going to be releasing, and so we are officially going to release this now, a few years later. What's interesting is that we have been building this since the early 2000s. We have built hundreds, probably thousands of websites with it and different versions. It is incredibly easy to use, incredibly powerful, incredibly modular. If you can think about it, you can do it. I do want to just give you a brief taste of it as well. It's not only is it, we're calling it a beta, but reality is billions of hits have happened off this system. So we know it works. It is absolutely astonishing for SEO value. It's one of the competitive advantages of TreeFrog in our area, which is why we are the largest web agency in our region, because we have access to this behind us, which is neat. And it's mature. So I do want to welcome up to the stage Carrie, who is going to get rid of this for you. Thank you, Carrie.
No problem.
He's going to do a brief walkthrough of Leap for us. You can see what it's like.
Oh, that's the end.
I was like, I don't see nothing happening.
Okay. So this is weird.
What happens if you do it early?
copy and paste all the stuff off of here, it's just gonna
Yeah,
go. Okay.
that's the second monitor. So that's the second monitor.
Oh, I see. Okay. So I'm gonna give you a little demo about how to set up a page in the menu structure. So this is Marsh website, which is in developer mode at the moment. We leap in, you come to the developer page, comes up, and you leap in with L3AP. That gives you your login info. Sign on with your thing. Design.
I didn't get the password.
Bill has it.
Already.
And we get our toolbar that appears on top of our website. To view what's really happening, you can click on the Leap button, the Leap Eyes button. That kind of illustrates where all your modules are and what's editable and what's not editable. So we've got your content section down here. If you click on one of those modules, it opens up your little WYSIWYG editor here to type in all your content. So that's easy to use. We've got, yeah, we can add in a bunch of different kinds of modules. In here, this is your list of all the modules you can add to your page. So our content area would be your text one. You can add menus and buttons and forms and such. So for example, we're going to just start with a new page. We can click the add page button. That just makes sense. Click that. But if you're already in this section that you're listed at all of your pages, there's another option here to click add page in this area as well. It starts setting you up with what your page title is going to be. So we're going to go with, where's my mouse? Test page. It suggests what your URL could be, so it already adds in, it takes out the spaces and such that you can't have in your URL. It already generates some options for you, so I'm just going to go with the first one. You have your skin option, so when we design the site, you've got your home page skin, which is going to have that rotating masthead, and then your internal skins look a little bit different, and you can add more skins on top of that. So right now, I'm just going to go add an internal page, so I'll grab the internal skin. And then we've got page group options, we've got language options and all that.
Can you click on language options?
Language options right now, we just have English.
What option?
So,
Depends how it's configured.
That's because of the fact that that's the only one that is defined for this site.
Are there any other languages?
All of the languages are available.
saving this page just brings you right to that URL where I can begin editing. So all this other stuff is what came with the skin. So I can move into, here's my leaf stuff.
Might have to leave back in.
I did.
Oh, this is an ancient version of Safari. Is that a problem?
There we go.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, so
Update to your new Mac.
So what is the problem, Sean? You should be using your new laptop by now.
setting up content. I'm going
Probably
to
5.
copy and paste some content to add to this page. Some dummy copy. And with the editor, it's simple to just go with your heading 1, heading 2. You've got your body copy already default. We'll save that page, and then it adopts the styling that was developed for your site in that skin. So that's pretty easy. We can also add a module. For an example here, I'll do a button. So it gives you all the areas that you can throw a button into. I want it right underneath my content, so I'll click this section right here. It says it hasn't been configured, so I can leap eyes and jump into that to configure it. It gives you your little settings here. Let's say learn more, add the link of where that button's going to send you to. We'll just dummy that right now and save, and then it adopts the styling for that custom button that we designed previously. So super easy. I can also show you quickly throwing in maybe an image. We can grab, this would be the image button to insert. We want to browse the server. This doesn't show up there. It opens up the file manager. Just really like for me to see. I'll grab an image off the desktop. That one.
That's me.
Choose. Upload. Did I hit that? Yes. And select that image to put it in. I can align it to the right. I can add some padding in, some extra code. Pixels. There we go. Easy peasy. There's an example then. If you leaf out, you get a better view. Custom page, and then we can add to the menu. That's also quite easy. Information menu, if we want to add that right to the top. Let's just throw it under contact us, and we already have the menu structure already set up. The ones are the primary level, twos are secondary level. You can go tertiary if you wanted to. So I'm trying to add this page under contact us. It was just there. Page. Now it would be under there. We also have to go and turn that on. It automatically defaults the page to not be live. So we go LDC. I can search all the pages in here, turn it on, and now I will see it in the menu after I refresh the page here. And under contact us, there it is. Oh, that's.
Oh, you spelled it wrong. It's the choose page. The
Perfect.
test page.
Regardless, that's how it works.
Just make sure
Thank
you're right.
you.
No problem.
So there you go. That is a brief taste of losing my mouse to this way, that way. There you go. That's a brief overview of what Leap is. So that is a fully functional, solid, mature CMS that's been running for a decade. The original one was built by me, crashed a lot. This one's built by Jono, doesn't crash a lot. So we're really proud of that. I did also want to mention that it's the same model. The idea of we are going to offer a closed Leap core. However, there will be a whole bunch of modules available in open source and closed source. So the modules, the building blocks that you use to build the page, are all different things that anyone can get in and build. So not only can you build websites with it, but you can also connect it with your external systems. But modules are incredibly simple to build modules, and there will actually be a presentation on how to build a module later this week. So that's pretty exciting stuff. There we go, there's Carrie. So that's Leap. So I'm excited because not only do we have a business operating system, which is for business and applications like efficiency and HR applications, etc., but we also have a CMS that's come out, and if underneath that, you consider some of the other strategic points that you can now install Lasso, have it serve, not configure anything, but right from Spitfire and from Lux, install or configure Mergini and Leap. You can do everything in one shot and get up to development really, really fast. And wait till you see some of the other stuff that we have. So coming back, that's the idea that we are, since 1996, we're 19 years in, And we have all of the different pieces in play, which we're really excited about. So, thank you very much. Next up, we have the Honorable Kyle Jessup.